Welcome back everyone to our Steel Division replay cast. This time it is going to be a 3v3 on Columbell, sent in by Artorius, my lovely buddy, and his friends are going to be Gerundio or Gerund and Mortenot on the right side. Their enemies are going to be Saint, playing as the 12th SS, Salmon Slapper, playing as the 21st Panzer Division, and Hadella, who hasn't yet spawned anything, playing also as the 21st Panzer Division. Here he is going with a lot of half-tracks, it seems, and infantry support in them. Then we have the central player going with a few recon units, a Panzer 35 Samurai, and a few more infantry squads. And on the right side, 80 gun, recon, mortar. Actually, mortar half-track. I don't quite like the German one that much for the mortar half-track, but it is still a pretty good unit to have if you want that fire support in a safe way. Then a couple of infantry units and a Wirbelwind with also a Panzerschreck squad. Facing him is going to be Mordenot, playing as the 2nd Infantry Division, so obviously in the town he's going to have a huge advantage with the Assault Rangers. As you can see, quite a few units coming out of him for the town, very vetted up, nice Ranger battle group. He's also got an AA gun, interesting, probably at Bofors, along with some recon in the center. And on the right side of the river, we're going to have an AT gun, an MG, and a leader and a recon. In the center, Artorius, he's going to have a few infantry units. He is going to be playing as the 3rd Armored. So a couple of riflemen for the town and forest area of the sort of semi-right side. And then looks like a infantry swarm for the center. Interestingly enough, no armor. I would have gone for at least a steward or two with the 3rd Armored Division at the start. Of course, considering he's playing in the center of the map, that would have been very good to have at least a couple of stewards or maybe even a Sherman for that area. Left side of the map, of course, 2nd Infantry Division from Gerund. He's going to have a very easy time at it if he can use his Rangers correctly. Now, what's interesting to note is that the entire German column is coming in basically in one area, but they also have a anti-tank half-track coming in from the side and a Vielfachswerfer, which is going to be quite dangerous for the infantry due to all the stunning, and the pack is going to be dangerous for the DD Sherman. But Gerund very smartly decides to plant down the Sherman right at the sort of gateway that the Germans are coming in, and look at that huge rush coming in from Hadella. Absolutely instantly pinned down by the Sherman. Incredibly effective at pinning down enemy units with its 4 HE. Now that they're all essentially lined up in one area, it is absolutely a shooting gallery. They're essentially fish in a barrel, and he's going to have a really easy time at it. Vielfachswerfer tries to answer in kind with some Katyusha rockets. It is going to work, but of course this is mainly for stunning enemy infantry. It doesn't really do a lot against enemy vehicles, and it doesn't really do all that much damage in terms of actual killing power. In the meantime, in the center, Artorius is having a pretty easy time at it, it seems, because like his opponent, he has been going for a bit of a defensive build, but he was able to get to a decent position first before the enemy. Of course, he has to worry about the Katyusha, the Vielfachswerfer, from the German side. There goes the Panzer 35S from the 57mm anti-tank gun. Very good positioning on that AT gun. Look at that line of sight. It can basically just overwatch over the entire area and not really care about that. And there's an ME-109 already from Hadella, along with a P-38 from Gerund. Now, the P-38 is going to win the duel in the end thanks to the support of the Bofors, clearly trying to use the Grasshopper over here to bait in the enemy planes and then take them out with their own aircraft. Not really working out as he would have hoped, but he still has a fighter that's alive and is now going to be doing a bit of a rocket strike on the Vielfachswerfer. Of course, the light rockets on the P-38, the Phase A P-38, really don't do all that much, so I would have used that light rocket against something like a even a recon unit or a AT gun, of course, that's kind of limited by what you can see. Of course, you can't attack really what you do not know is there. Now, in the center of the map, we do see that the Germans have a bit of a foothold thanks to this pack 50mm and the Spätrupp. On the right side, interestingly, it looks like Mordanaut hasn't really been able to secure the town, which I would have thought very easy with the Ranger assault troops, but it looks like he didn't have any assault troops. He went for the support Rangers, which, in my opinion, was a mistake. At least 2 assault troops would have been very important, although maybe one of these units died for him, but I'm not too sure. I would have definitely gone for one of those. Also, very prudent to go for a Bofors for him as well, just like for Gerent going for the Bofors. Just in case the enemy does decide to bring in some cheeky Phase A Air Force. That's always something that kind of annoys me when I'm playing against, for example, the Luftwaffe division. But also the 21st Panzer has some interesting air options in Phase A. So you have to be kind of careful that the enemy might not be trying to do something like that. But on the right side for the Allies, it is good because basically the Germans have left nothing there, and so Mordanaut is able to just very easily secure quite a lot of territory for the Allied cause. In the meantime, in the town, things are going pretty well for the Allies. Gerard has been able to push up thanks to the support of the DD Sherman. Most of the Panzer Grenadiers that were in the area have been either routed or destroyed. Only one unit really remains, and right now the DD Sherman very, very smartly does not move up because he does not really want to get side shotted by a Panzerfaust from the buildings, so at least he is playing it safe, and he's going to wait for his 107mm mortar to clear out some of these areas for him. Panzer Grenadiers make a huge mistake and decide to move up. They get instantly pinned down and then destroyed by the Sherman. That seemed to have been a bit of a move to help the pack over here, the pack half-track, try to get a shot off on the Sherman, but it didn't really work out all that much. Now the pack is still shooting at the Sherman, but at this long range, I don't think it's going to be able to hit all that well. To help hit, Hadala brings in a 222 scout car with the command unit. Of course, this is a very, very good vehicle at only 30 command points. But at the same time, you have to always kind of remind yourself that, well, these units, of course, they can help. But if you don't really have a front line that can obviously not only protect the vehicle, but also be the thing that gets buffed by the vehicle, then that's not really going to be that good. Looks like the Vielfachwerfer has been destroyed here, most likely by the Sherman. I don't see the carcass, actually. Not really sure. Looks like a 222 went down there. The Grasshopper still doing a pretty good job at spawning enemy units and tries to bait in the ME-109 again, but the ME-109 this time is probably a little bit more wise to what the Allies may be trying to do. In the meantime, also on the right side, the Allies are bringing in their own air forces and trying to shoot at some of these ground units by Saint. Of course, Saint is very, very short on units in general. He's bringing in some more units, which kind of tells me that he had a lot of points saved up in reserve, which is not really what you want to do. You want to always spend your points. Sometimes, of course, you want to save up just in case you want a very quick counter to something, or you want to maybe get an aircraft in emergency, like a fighter, to take out some enemy planes, just in case you have need of it. So having a bit of a reserve in that case makes sense. But, of course, it's always better if you don't think you're going to need any of that, to just spend your points so that you don't lose territory. For example, right now the Allies are winning by 269 points, and they are going to get a minor victory in 32 minutes. That's what at least the scoreboard seems to think. So if that whole infantry force that the Germans are now bringing into the right side factory town had been there all along in, of course, trickles, then that would be much, much reduced of a lead for the Allies. In the meantime, Allies are fortifying the town a little bit, but of course, thanks to the support of the mortar half-track, there goes the verbal vent actually. Very good job with the DD Sherman by Mordanaut. Of course, the right side of the map does have some opportunities for the 2nd Infantry Division due to that Sherman being able to cross the river. And now, well, yeah, thanks to the use of the mortar half-track, the Germans might have a chance at retaking the town with this huge infantry force. Thankfully, they are bringing in a leader in the rear. Looks like a Panzer Grenadier Führer, and that is going to be exactly what they need to bring to the town, because they want that support. They want the buffs from the leader along with the infantry. Of course, they have to be very careful because the Rangers are strong. They are indeed very strong, and so thanks to the support of the 60mm mortar, also lots of suppression is going to be coming down on the German units due to the 2 LMGs that the Ranger support have. The Ranger machine gun, of course, providing a lot of suppression, and also, of course, the mortar. So that's what might stifle the German push. That's kind of is already stifling the German push. Some of the units are already pinned down, and some of the other units are taking huge amounts of fire and are gonna get pinned down pretty quickly. Thankfully, though, there's 4 half-tracks supporting the main push for the Germans. They need to not get too close so that they don't get grenaded by... Actually, no. The Ranger leader is out of TNT. So half-tracks are actually entirely safe, and they can do pretty much whatever they want except for this Ranger Marauder. So very aggressive push from Saint, getting kind of a bit of a payoff thanks to the lack of AT from Mordenot. In the center, in the meantime, we have Artorias doing pretty well. The Vielfachwerfer has been spotted, and as you could see, there was a flare that the Allies had placed there, so they know where the German artillery piece is. The main obstacle right now for the advance is Salmon Slapper's sort of blockade in this forest. Now, one easy way to deal with that would be an artillery piece. I'm not sure if Artorias has a Calliope in his deck, but that would be absolutely perfect at dealing with this forest, because Phase B is about to just hit, and the Calliope is really good for that. And ooh, bit of a miss from the P-38 Thunderbolt. No, that should create a lightning. Okay, so a bit of a miss from the lightning on the AT gun, but also does quite a bit of damage. Here comes an MU-109 trying to chase down the enemy fighter plane. Not really going to work. Here comes a light bomber, a Thunderbolt. Might be dropping in on the infantry. That's going to at least stun them and deal a few casualties. Unfortunately, the Thunderbolt seems to have Evac Winchester on, so it has retreated by default after dropping its payload, which might mean its death, because here comes the MU-19. MU-19 gonna get forced away by the Bofors, thus saving the Thunderbolt. But if that hadn't happened, then the MU-19 would have been able to chase down the Thunderbolt. If you don't have Evac Winchester on, then you can still use the aircraft as a fighter or as a strafing run close air support plane after it drops its payload. So that would be the best thing to do, really. If you do not know how to do that, let's just options, controls, actually no, gameplay. Automatic Winchester evacuation, you turn that from yes to no. That's what you do, and then you apply. That's how you do that. And here comes a couple of P-38 Lightnings from Mordenot. An interesting choice. I don't think that it shot down any German planes. Looks like the DD Sherman went down, judging from this carcass. That's very unfortunate. There's another DD Sherman on the right side. It might have to face this Panzerschreck team soon. It also is shooting at the AT gun. The AT gun is probably going to succumb to the fire of that Sherman, along with, looks like the P-38 Lightning trying a bit of a strafing run, but kind of failing at that, which is a bit of an unfortunate event for Mordenot. But here comes the strafing run, also a rocket run from the P-38, trying to actually stun up those half-tracks, but the half-tracks don't really care. They come through the buildings and are going to be taking out that mortar. Of course, Bofors actually stuns them up and makes them retreat right into the Ranger Marauders. Very good coordination from the two players, and also very good usage of the unit for Mordenot. He, interestingly enough, decides to jump from one building to the other. I would have just let the Rangers stay there, because the half-tracks were falling back, so the Rangers would have been able to bazooka the crap out of these half-tracks without that, without really having to move, without having that problem. And there goes all the half-tracks. Very, very good. Some annoying units have been taken out, and that's something that the Allies are definitely going to be happy about. Right now, it looks like an ME-109 takes out the Grasshopper finally, before the Bofors can indeed take out the ME-109 or at least force it to retreat. Right now, we do see that Gerund has been strengthening his anti-air a little bit. He has an M16 machine gun carrier, and that's going to be a very, very good anti-plane unit. If he can grab a few more of these, he's going to have a bit of an AA net that his planes can safely retreat to once they are in any way out of fuel, out of ammunition, and danger. Right now, it looks like the DD Sherman is still alive and is now going to be trying to advance. I think that Jared could be a little bit more aggressive at this point due to the kind of infantry advantage that he does have. He could definitely push up and take this sort of last remaining foothold that the Germans have over the town. Of course, he doesn't really know that he has such a huge advantage, but what I would do is I would push up this MG up to this building. This building or this building. This building would be better, so that it can have a bit of a better line of sight. There goes the Sherman, unfortunately, from the Panzergrenadiers. And then use the support from the MG to push up other units, especially the Assault Rangers with flamethrowers, to take out the Panzergrenadiers in the house. There goes the half-track from the AT gun support from this forest. Very good job using this AT gun. A very good line of sight from this forest, this little tree line. So he's going to have a really easy time at destroying any enemy vehicles that come through this area. Here comes the Vielfachwerfer. Oh no, that's actually a Reihenwerfer. So the Reihenwerfer is essentially the big brother of the Vielfachwerfer. It does have, I believe, a little bit more in terms of HE. Not entirely sure. It does also have the smoke. So smoke ability, very dangerous. Vielfachwerfer for Salmon, gonna get at least forced to retreat by the P-38 from Artorias. I would have gone for 2 P-38s huddled up in one group attacking. That would have increased the chances of that strike actually destroying the vehicle. Right now it looks like Salmon has a huge horde of German troops that are trying to just charge straight through, but Artorias very smartly went for an M5, well no, an M5 command vehicle and 2 Shermans. One of them a 75 M4A3 and another one a 75 M4A1. So very smart for him now that he's in Phase B, using the advantage that the American Armored Division can have in this area. I would have gone for a Jumbo, of course. A Jumbo and a Command Stuart, or a Jumbo and a Sherman. Mostly because the Jumbo does have that insane armor value that it can use to essentially just tank up all the shots and not really care about the German tanks. Right now, Salmon has 2 Panzer IV Gs, very dangerous units that you can underestimate quite easily because they're only 130 points. So if you do not really know how good these things can be, then that's essentially one good way to underestimate the unit and then get yourself wrecked by it. Of course, you have to always remember this unit has some really, really good gun performance at 14 AP, 4 HE, 1000 range, and also 6 rounds per minute of rate of fire. Pretty good. They also come up at Vet 2 by default, so pretty good morale at that. Not really easy to panic. Here comes the Jumbo finally from Artorias, and the Jumbo absolutely smashes the Panzer IV G. Other Panzer IV G looks like it's going to show its side armor, now realizes its mistake and turns back round, but it's not going to be late enough for Jumbo because Jumbo is in range, bounces a shot off the Panzer IV, which is very, very lucky for the Panzer IV because it's only got 6 frontal armor, and so in fact he is going to be saved by the fact that the Jumbo decides to shoot at some of these half-tracks. I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think the Jumbo could have definitely finished off the Panzer IV G. Looks like the Panzer IV is trying to bait the Jumbo and the American tanks in general onto a Pak 43, which is now hidden in the woods. Of course, the Pak 43 here has some pretty good line of sight. Very smartly, Artorias kind of realizes that there's something up and hides his tanks behind some buildings. Also, the other Sherman is absolutely out of range of the Pak 43, so that's fine as well. In the meantime, on the left side, it does look like the Germans are pushing back a little bit, but Gerund does have a Sherman in a very good position to overwatch over the sort of right side of the town. At the same time, the problem is really coming in from the left side. I like this assault unit. I feel like it could be moved up to about here so that it could, whenever any enemy units try to move up to the forest, it could use its flamethrower to thwart any attempts at doing that. At the same time, essentially, the fact that the Sherman is dominating the right side of the town is kind of prompting the Germans into investing some more into AT. There's a Martyr 1 coming in, which is 100 points. Also, a SDKFC 10? Is that a pack 75? Yeah, that's a pack 75, I believe. Pack 40. So also a pretty good investment for the Germans. Quite a lot of points being sunk into anti-tank. We do see exactly the opposite coming in from Jiren. He's going to go for some artillery. He still has the 107mm mortar from earlier. He has a Bofors that's now pinning down some Pioneers, but he invested in a Xylophone. Now, the Xylophone is indeed very dangerous with that 100 pointer, just 100 points, but very, very dangerous rockets coming from that. Of course, the drawback of the Xylophone is that it's very fragile. You have to always be very careful with the Xylophone because any enemy airstrike is going to be able to take it out really easily. It's essentially just a truck with some rockets on it, so going to be really easy to take out for the enemy. A Xylophone right here would be very good, but of course, right now I think that Jiren is kind of saving that up for any more important targets. Here comes the Ryanwerfer. Ryanwerfer looks like it's going to be targeting the AT gun. There goes the AT gun, along with the rifles and the support rangers. Does a little bit of damage, but not all too bad for the American defense in the area. It looks like Artorias is going to be able to push for the center anytime soon, but he's also fighting on the sort of center-right area of the map, which is going not that great for him as the Germans are trying to push through. Looks like thanks to the support of the Pack 43, they have been able to keep the American armor at bay, but the American tanks are still alive. The Stuart is falling back, but the two Shermans here are still alive, and they're still pounding the Germans as they try to funnel through these woods into the fortified area under American control. There's also the Jumbo that's kind of soaking up some fire and is going to be trying to take out some of these German vehicles as well. And right now the Pack 43 is trying to advance, and that's not too good because it's on open ground, and that's exactly the reason you don't want it on open ground, because it exposes it very, very well to airstrikes. And of course, Artorias takes the opportunity, absolutely, and pins down the pack, destroys half of its crew, and so it's halfway towards destroying that enemy vehicle, enemy support weapon. That's going to be very good because that Pack 43 is a very, very limited breed. You're not getting all that many of these, so having damage dealt to it is very, very, very important for the Allies. Quite high priority on that. Right now, it looks like Mornot is sort of kind of holding control of the factory complex, but at the same time, looks like the factory is taking a lot of fire. Some of these buildings are going down, pretty much ruins, and some of the other ones are already taking damage. Here comes a huge air battle. Tons of German aircraft, fuckable 190s, very good fighters. There goes 2 American planes, and the third one is also forced to retreat. Looks like none of the German aircraft were shot down over that engagement, which is very good. Although, no, that's a Thunderbolt. Although nothing. Yeah, in general, the Germans coming out of them on top on that air engagement. Kind of lucky for them. At the same time, looks like on the right side, the Saint has finally sort of gotten up a defense for the right side of the map, which cost the Axis so many points earlier. But at the same time, it looks like he's going to be a little bit thwarted by the 76mm AT gun by Mornot. The Panzer IV-H is trying to push through and get some damage done on the American rear lines. Very lucky that it hasn't been destroyed yet by the 76mm. In fact, it's going to be able to pin it down. Very lucky for this Panzer IV. I think it should have definitely been destroyed at this kind of close range. At 600 meters, the 76mm AT gun should have been able to nail that Panzer IV, but it looks like it missed mostly. Here comes also a Xylophone from Mornot. Definitely pushed up a little bit too far. It looks like it's very, very close to the Panzer II-C. If the Panzer II were to finish off these riflemen and these rangers and decide that it was going to move up and try to take out the Xylophone, there would only be the 75mm Sherman from Artorias trying to stop it. And at the same time, these Shermans are a little bit busy trying to repulse the German push here. Here comes a Vielfachwerfer on the sort of barracks complex, and that's gonna do some damage, but not all too much. With the Shermans and the Stuarts coming in and trying to get revenge on the German vehicles, I think that this push that the Germans have managed to scramble through together is going to have essentially its day's number. There goes the Luftwaffe. Very, very good job by the P-38. But the P-38 is also going to be taking a lot of punishment for that. I think it's going to go down. There's a couple of Focke-Wulf 190s trying to chase through, but they decide that it's not worth their time, partially because of the AA fire coming in from the pintle-mounted machine guns of these Shermans, partially because, in general, they just didn't want anything to do with that. There goes the xylophone on the right side of the map. Looks like it was destroyed by a counter-battery fire from a couple of Hummels by Saint. Interesting use of that Hummel. Of course, very, very, very dangerous with that 27 HE. Very powerful explosion coming from that. Easily takes out the unarmored xylophone. On the left side, there is still the xylophone from Jaren. Looks like one of the shots was fired. I'm thinking that this was the target, considering the destruction in the area. I don't think Jaren does have a duck that can resupply his own vehicles, and of course the xylophone as well. Looks like he's also going to be bringing in some more AT guns. I'm thinking that that's going to be going here. And hold on, you might hear a sneeze. Okay, now here comes a P-38 Lightning Heavy Bomber. Definitely on these Panzergrenadiers. Oh no, on the Rheinwerfer. Rheinwerfer does get hit and is forced to retreat, but thanks to a pretty quick notice that Hedella sort of pulled off, he was able to at least escape. There's an M10 tank destroyer from Durand. He's going to be able to use that very, very nicely against enemy vehicles. But here comes two Panzer IV-H's from Hedella, and they're going to be supported by a couple of infantry squads going ahead. And while these infantry squads will be taking a huge amount of punishment from the M10 and also a couple of the American infantry units, they will kind of be a bit of a spotter unit for the two Panzer IVs, nicely sort of warning them that the M10 is there, and also kind of making sure the M10 has its attention split. Although, very nicely, Gerard looks like disabled his HE. Unfortunately, that was not enough because the M10 was indeed forced to bail out and destroyed. But what he did, I think, was disable the HE on the M10 so that it wouldn't follow these units with the main gun, and so it would be a little bit more ready to counteract any enemy armor, or maybe because he wanted to save up the HE rounds for later. So that was kind of an interesting choice. The reason I'm thinking that was because it wasn't firing at these Panzergrenadiers with the main gun. So I was pretty much sure that that's what Gerard had gone for, and it was a good idea, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. The Rheinwerfer being able to at least stun up the American infantry. There is still an M4 Sherman from Gerard. He's going to be able to use that M4 quite decently against the enemy infantry. Enemy infantry taking huge amounts of fire and are basically just pinned down at this point. But the M4, I don't think is going to be able to stop this Panzer IV-H push. There's a second Panzer IV-H as well to remember that could just swing around the town. Here comes some bombs on the Panzergrenadiers, doing some damage and stunning them up for good. At the same time, looks like a bit of an air push coming in from the Allies in the center. P-38 lining along with a couple of Mustangs to escort it. P-38 looks like it's going to be heavy bombing the crap out of that Pak-48. Pak-43, I'm sorry. Very, very good usage of the bomber. Taking out a high-value target like that is definitely good. And looks like the Sherman train can now use that opportunity, now that there is no Pak-43, to sort of push up and try to deal some damage. Thankfully for the Americans, there are absolutely no AT units, AT German infantry units in the area. The Spähtrupp doesn't really have any AT. The Sturmpionier does have the ability to hurt vehicles with its flamethrower, but does reveal itself a little bit too early, shooting at the riflemen. And then that's good enough for the Shermans to absolutely pound and obliterate that unit into nothingness. So here comes the answer out of the 21st Panzer, the Königsstiger, coming in from Salmon Slapper. And looks like Hedella doesn't have a Königsstiger yet, but I'm thinking that soon he's going to have one. He's investing very heavily in terms of artillery because he's very, very worried about the town. What I would have advised them to do was kind of ride off on the momentum that he had with that Panzer IV push and ignore the town Instead, buy more units that are very good in open ground and try to push through this area of the map, essentially not really caring about the town. The reason is all these units that are going into the town and that are going to be good in the town are infantry. So what really is the purpose of infantry in a town? It's to hold it. And they can't really do much in terms of offensive moves. They can't really hurt the enemy vehicles as they pass through here because they don't have enough range to do so. Really, the only thing the town would do for the Allies if the Germans were trying to push through the center area over here is maybe a hiding spot for some AT guns. So I think that a bold push through this area of the map, supported by some very, very good recon work, for example, from these Alfclair and from a couple more recon units that right now are definitely lacking, but he might be going for at this moment. Of course, I'm talking about Hedela. Supported by that, I think that a push from a couple of Panzer IVHs and perhaps even a Königstiger, or perhaps even just some more Panzer IVs, maybe even a Command Panzer IV, that would have helped much, much more than wasting so many points on infantry trying to contest the town. Because at this point, as you can see, the Panzer IVH is trying to move in through the town, and as you can see by this partner, that may not be the best idea. The fate of that Panzer IV may soon become the fate of this Panzer IV as well. Here comes a P-38 Lightning trying to bomb the P4, and it forces it to retreat, thus giving the Americans some more time to reorganize the defense. Interestingly, this rifle leader doesn't really have any places to hide in because all these buildings are ruined, and I don't think Jaren kind of realized that his rifles are out in the open. Let's go back to the right side. I haven't looked at this area in a long, long time. The two Hummels are a very big investment for Saint, and that's kind of... Ooh, there goes a Panzer IV. Yep. Ooh, here comes a ton of German aircraft. At least one of these American planes are going to go down, and probably the second one as well. It's getting chased down by tons of Me-109s, and look at that German air superiority. Of course, the real big problem with this is that these were a lot of points invested into planes by Hedela and Saint. And now look, Saint and Hedela are starting to lose ground much more than they did earlier. Partially because of this investment, and also partially because of the investment that Saint went into Hummels. 2 Hummels, 3 Hummels, 4 Hummels. Considering that they're 180 each, you can do the math yourself, and if you can't, that's 400 plus 80 times 4, so that's 240? No, 360. Wait, no, I'm retarded. 320. So 720 points spent on Hummels. If you consider also that Hedela went for a Kanonenvogel, a Stuka with the cannon, that's not really anything to scuff at. Now, the Kanonenvogel is definitely going to be effective against something like the M10, but it doesn't really carry the attack run through. It is going to be baiting for the P-38, but the P-38 really doesn't have anything to stop it. There it goes, falls back, and now the Focke-Wulf 190 is going to take it out. Very lucky on the German part. That was about to destroy the Kanonenvogel, and I still think that the Ju-87G should have at least tried to finish off the M10. Now, still, now that you know that kind of investment into Hummels, let's see what Murnau has over here. It looks like a couple of 40-point range infantry units, about 5 of them, so that's 200. Then a couple of rifles, so 40, 240, 270, then that's more like 300. 4 GPA with recon, gonna be for 30, so about 400 in total of infantry units in the town. So that's about half, well, a little bit over half, but still, of what Mr. Saint spent on Hummels. Imagine if all that investment into Hummels had been in part at least diverted into infantry units to contest the town, and in part diverted to units to contest the right side of the map. Of course, after looks like the push from the Panzer IV, there wasn't really much of a follow-up coming in from Saint. All of these infantry units are still in this tree line, where they are now getting completely pounded by the M10 tank destroyers, and after the M10s were able to take out the Panzer IV, they were able to just push through without any kind of opposition. Despite the fact that Saint is playing with the 12 SS, so at this point he should have had swarms of Panthers for the center and the right side of the map. But unfortunately, he doesn't really seem to be too interested in terms of the armor game. He just wants artillery, which of course means that he's going to be paying a dear price in terms of map control, and that's kind of allowing the Allies to get a huge amount of point lead. In the meantime, on the left side, Germans still trying to push through the ruins of the town with some support from the Vielfachwerfer and the Rheinwerfer. There's also a Flak 88 for the Germans. Interesting choice for the town. There's absolutely not much that the Flak 88 can do except being a AA piece, and at the same time, Hadela himself had invested tons into fighters, so I don't think that going for such an expensive AA piece at 135, that's actually the expensive one, because there's two, of course, kinds of Flak 88s. There's the 36 and the 41, so that's the 135 pointer. Not an easy investment when you've also spent so much on fighters. Of course, a bit of a cheaper air piece would have been better. There goes the Rheinwerfer. No, that was the Vielfachwerfer from the 105? Maybe from the Xylophone. Not sure. But still, a pretty good kill for Gerund. He's going to be able to have even more of an advantage on the left side now that that artillery piece is gone. Here comes the Calliope from Artorias on the center, doing some damage to the German troops in the area. I still think that doing it more on the tree line would have been a little bit of a better thing. And in general, the Calliope is always better to be followed up by a push of your own ground forces. Looks like the ground forces are kind of busy in the center of the map. A couple of Königstigers, in fact, still have not been even scratched by the American armor. But very good job with the 75W. That's exactly what these 76 Shermans are for, because of their additional armor penetration at close range. That really shows against the big German vehicles like the Königstiger. That gives them just a slight bit of an edge over that. There he goes, knocks out the driver, while the Jumbo is taking the shots from the Königstiger's 88mm main gun. The 76mm comes in, the glass cannon takes out the driver, and along with the support of the 76mm AT gun, takes out the Königstiger. That was a really good way to take out two very expensive vehicles. The Königstigers absolutely have to be used at long range. If the enemies get too close to them, then they're going to suffer their, of course, numbers inferiority. And of course, now that he lost his two Königstigers, Salmon Slapper decides to leave. That is very unfortunate for the Germans, and I think that that's going to be the end of the game. Now, what could the Germans have done differently? Definitely less investment into fighters and less investment into artillery, or perhaps even dividing up the investment, having one player go for more artillery and one player go for more aircraft. So definitely a problem of coordination in that regard. Then a little bit of a better use of the Königstigers from the 21st Panzer Division players. These tanks are expensive. They're 350. So you have to absolutely be using them correctly. You have to make sure that they're paying for themselves. And at the same time, you have to always make sure that you're using them in the correct manner at the correct time. That's kind of the two things you need to do. So in general, really, it was a problem of what to buy when for the Germans, because the Allies definitely used their units well, but what really screwed the Germans over was overinvestment into certain units at certain times when they didn't need those units. So for example, they had too many fighters when the enemy had basically no aircraft. So a bit of a better resource management would have definitely helped out the Germans a little bit. Looking at the kills, of course, Artorias taking out those Königstigers, doing very well. I'm guessing a few air kills are also included in that kill count. Looks like a couple of Panzer 35s, and wow, Calliope doing quite well against the German infantry. Also, that 76W, absolutely a hero of freedom and democracy. Taking out a Panzer 4G, a Marder 1, a Pack, Königstiger, Gepard, Recon, second Königstiger, and Befehlspanzer. So the Command Panther, two King Tigers, Panzer 4G, Marder 1, Gepard, AT gun. This is literally Nixon. Look at that. Nixon absolutely rules this game. And yeah, in general, very good usage of that Sherman, that 76er, doing God's work. Also, we're not taking a little bit more punishment due to being in the right side town. Gerard doing quite well thanks to his domination in the artillery department of things. On the German side, Hadella looks like most of his kills were from airplanes, I think, because as you can see, he was the one facing Gerard, and Gerard had less losses than Hadella had kills. So I'm guessing that those 600 extra kills were from planes. Saint, not really doing all that well. Probably lost a lot of aircraft. Probably lost a few tanks. Also, he was in the town, so not really the best place to be in general if you don't want to lose a lot. And Salmon Flapper losing those KTs, not very good. So, Anna, thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this Steel Division replay cast. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you soon.